I'll tell them, I'll say, this is the hardest job that you will ever love. You get back so much more than you give out. Your cup is refilled every patient you go and see, especially when you've done it right.
Welcome to In Good Company. Kim Therriault.
John Ray.
Known each other a long time.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
Seems like all my life now.
I know. I was thinking back. We started Haven because, I had dealt in the corporate realm for a long time and got to know a lot of leadership within some of the big companies. Mm-hmm. They were good at their job. Let's just put it that way. They were really, really good at their job. But what we were looking for was somebody who really had a heart for people and taking care of people, that was kind of first and foremost. And I remember that more than anything, the first time I met you and just hearing the way you talked about being a nurse and taking care of people. Because I'd asked you, I was like, well, if you could design a hospice, what would you do? And the way you described it was exactly what we were looking for. It was really neat to meet you. It was like, as soon as you left, I was like, I'm going to make her an offer today.
Well, I remember I didn't even know if I wanted to be a nurse anymore at that point. I'm not a game player. I just want to take care of people. And I want to take care of my employees so they can take care of people. And there were 3 things that you wanted. Number 1, you said that you wanted someone to take care of the patients. And you said, Kim, if they need something, we will move heaven and earth to get it. And you have never let me down. The second thing is that you wanted someone to take good care of the employees. You said, if you take good care of the employees, they're going to take great care of our patients. And I hadn't really heard that in healthcare in a long time. An employer that really wanted to focus on the employees. The third thing you said was, Kim, this is all me and Bethany have got, and we've got a good reputation, and we want to maintain that reputation. And that's kind of how I was raised. And I thought, man, he done got me into this, And so that was probably the best. We spent like maybe 45 minutes or so together. It wasn't a long, it wasn't a long interview even. But I called my husband on the way home and I'm like, I think I want to do this. And he's just laughing because he knew that I wouldn't be out of hospice,
Yeah.
And he was like, yep, I knew it.
That Billy, he knows you too well.
He does. He does.
So through the years now that, because building a hospice from the ground up, so to speak, what things were a surprise to you and what things were just kind of ran through everywhere that you had been?
I think maybe the things that were a surprise was the quality of employees that we had come through our doors that wanted a place where they were going to be safe, wanted a place where they were going to be valued. And it took them a while sometimes to believe in what we were saying. But if I had an employee that seemed kind of uneasy at times, I would bring him into the office and I would tell him, I know what you're thinking, and they would, what? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? You have to put away the problems that you had at the place you came from, because this is Haven and we do things differently here. And the things that I talked to you about during your interview is the truth. The things that I discussed about the things that are good here, the problems that we had, the things that you would be affixed to, I meant it. If you have suggestions, if something's not going right, I want to know about it. I'm the only one that can fix it. And my door is always open to my employees, always. And so I think that was the part that, just that open communication. There's no yelling. There's no demeaning anybody. We hire people that we really feel like would be a good fit and that really wants to do this work. But sometimes you have to, as the employer, sometimes you have to do some of that work to kind of break down some of the barriers that have been created over the years.
Yeah.
And to me, I love doing that.
I think that's so true. And when I think about, sometimes people come with baggage.
Yes.
They come with a set of expectations on how they're going to be treated. And I that's one of the things I think that I've noticed is over the years, you've had everybody in your office, like literally everybody.
Yeah.
And they, come to you and they hug you, and you can tell that care and that love is definitely mutual. And, I can see it, like you've healed some people, employees, while they've been here, because some have been burned pretty bad.
Yeah.
And really felt like they weren't going to ever find a place where they felt like they were valued.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope so. That's always my intention. If I have to talk to somebody about something they need to do different, my goal for them is to leave my office feeling better about themselves and their position when they came into my office. I'm not there to demean or to beat somebody over the head with something. I want them to succeed. And I feel like for the 99% of the time, we can do that together. I want them, I'm not going to, I'm going to retire at some point. I want to leave the people behind me that still are doing, hospice old school.
Yeah.
And that we're taking care of our employees. I don't know. It's just, to me, it feels like we're just doing the right thing.
Yeah. You mentioned hospice old school.
Mm-hmm.
Can you help define old school, new school?
Sure. To me, hospice old school is when we're taking the complete amount of time that patient or that family needs from us. We are not punching time clocks in and out of patients' houses. If that patient only wants us there for 15 minutes and get out, then we're going to do the best we can, If that patient and that family are having issues and trouble and they're concerned about things and we need to spend 3 or 4 hours in that home, then that's what we're going to do. And we've built our staff around to when we send out a message that we've got a patient that maybe is having some symptom management issues, or maybe they're declining or something is going on, we send it out. The nurse will respond back, I'm an hour away, I can't get there. And we'll have 3 or 4 nurses almost immediately say, I was just pulling the driveway, let me call him and I'll turn around and go see this patient. And that to me is just the epitome of a team working together. This isn't my patient and that's your patient. These are our patients. And together we can take better care of them than we can if we've created a silo.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's really neat. So what do you feel, maybe, I don't know if it's new hospice, but what do you think the direction of hospice has been moving over the years?
It appears to be less visits. And to me, they're on hospice. They don't need less visits. They need more visits. We do everything we can, sometimes we'll have just one time a week, and we will really try to let them see us twice a week, where we can go in and really be assessing them, especially in the beginning when we don't know them and maybe they don't know us. And know that we really mean that, that we're really going to be here when you call. And so it's important that we do what we say we're going to do. We be where we say we're going to be. And if that comes down to, we get to know them for a few weeks and they're they're really doing okay and they really only want us one time a week, then we'll say, absolutely, yes, we can move you down to one time a week, but you call us if you know anything. But by that time, you've reached a rapport with them, and they know that you're going to be there when they call.
Yeah, for those who don't know why the number of visits are important besides the care aspect of it, is because the way hospice is paid. So hospice is paid on a per diem rate, which means that when somebody goes on to hospice, that hospice receives a certain amount of money every day, regardless of number of visits. And from that money, they divvy out, DME and pharmacy and the number of visits that are provided. And so the concern is that a hospice can become much more profitable by providing less to a patient. And so, some people might have listened to that initially and thought, oh, they're trying to provide more visits, they're going to get paid more, but that's not how it works. It's just the opposite, actually.
It is.
And so I think I just want to make that a little aside in case somebody didn't know how that works, because it very much is a problem in the industry right now. I see that they're looking at those metrics. The big companies are looking at those metrics and saying, how can we reduce the number of visits that we go into the home? Where can we cut costs? That sort of thing. And when you mentioned old school, I kind of felt like I know exactly where you're going with the old school side of it, because that was one of the things that I was always impressed with early on, is that you're like, we're going to do things differently than other hospices. We're going to provide 1 to 2 visits a week if needed, or more whenever needed, and we're just going to do whatever we need to do. And you're very soft-spoken, Kim, and but there's a power behind you. And early on, I was like, yep, we better do it the way Kim wants it. We better do it. If it's going to be right, we better do it her way. And I always appreciated, and it was one of the things that I picked up on very early when we started talking, was that you really did care about the people. You wanted, not only your clinicians to feel good, you wanted the families to know that, we were there no matter what, and that we'd go the extra mile to explain what was going on. If they needed extra time, we would give them extra time. And, that's really worked to our benefit in so many ways, because, we get, surveyed here and there. We've had state come visit us, on, an issue here or there. And, what do they typically say every time they come?
That we've got a really great hospice, and they can tell that we've got great nurses that really care about their patients.
Yeah. That makes me proud.
Yeah, me too.
It really does. It makes me so proud, because they're not going to say that if they don't mean it. So they really aren't.
Right.
They have no reason to say anything like that. And these are nurses. These are people who know hospice really, really well. They know what good care is supposed to look like. That's one of the problems that I was hoping when we sit down to talk, we could try to help resolve, is that I think a lot of people don't know what good care is.
Yeah.
They don't know, like if they got a bad hospice experience, I'm not 100% sure they would know what that is all the time. You can tell what good customer service is, but some people, we've run into hospices in this area that didn't have enough nurses for the number of patients that they had. And we're like, how in the world are they taking care of that many patients with that few nurses? And those patients have no idea they're not getting the number of visits that they're supposed to have, or the care that they're supposed to have. They're, another agency wasn't even doing the supplies the way they were supposed to. Those families don't know. They just don't know.
No, you know what good service is when you go to the bank, or when you go to the grocery store or a restaurant, because it's things that we do all the time. You know what good service is at your doctor's office, because, we're there several times a year. But for hospice, I agree with you very much. It's very, very different. You get what you get, and you don't know if that's really good care or not, at that point, a lot of our patients and families are so grateful for anything that they don't realize that they're getting cheated out of really the whole hospice experience, and really having someone who is looking at those medications, making sure they have what they need, that their doctors or the medical doctor or here is being called, so that they're being, their medicines are being reviewed. Is this the right path to go on? But yeah, they don't know if they're getting bad care. They just are so grateful to have somebody come in for any length of time and help teach them something or explain something to them. And when we talk about visits, it's not, yes, we visit with our patients. We get really close with our patients, and our patients get close with us. But we're not there to visit. We are there to perform certain tasks that need to be done for this patient and the family, making sure that they have the supplies they need, making sure they have correct DME and the DME is working, making sure that their questions are being answered. And to me, that is huge. Taking the time to answer some really difficult questions. And in our culture, it's things that we don't talk about very much, but building that rapport with that patient and family, that they know they can ask us things that they couldn't ask their brother or sister or even the patient themselves, and that we will help them through that and explain why you're hearing changes in breathing, why they're needing more pain medicine, why we're having to go up on the oxygen, and being able to explain what the body's doing at that point, so that they know that, you may not see this every day. I'm so glad you asked me that question. Let me explain to you why the body is doing this. And just to know sometimes that something that seems really difficult or hard, that there's a reason the body's going through that it's really a normal process, just relieves so much tension.
We'll return to this podcast episode in just a moment, but first I have to ask you, please like, share, and subscribe to the In Good Company podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. It goes a long way to get this episode and others into the feeds of people who want to learn more about general wellness and aging better. And now back to the show.
Yeah, just understanding what's normal and not normal
yes.
can be a huge relief.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great about, what you're talking about is helping to explain to somebody some of the basics of what we should expect from our healthcare system. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard for people to really know what that is. They're not the experts. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of don't really understand what some of the basics are. And some of the basics are quite easy. When you think about even in my own healthcare journey, calling up and having some concerns, and just the responses that you get on whether or not you're going to try to get an appointment or not, or that sort of thing, can make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Or you're waiting on labs or something, right, and you're nervous about something. All of those things play into it. And it's such a little thing, but sometimes just the little things add up to a lot in the mm-hmm. healthcare space.
Mm-hmm. The little things can add up to a lot of negativity. And also it's usually little things that add up to that complete relief of, okay, I've got somebody that's listening to me.
Yeah.
And it's things in medical where, everybody's busy. It doesn't matter if it's your doctor, it's a nurse, it's your chaplain, social, the people at the grocery store, the people at the restaurant, we're all busy. But taking that extra few minutes to sit down with somebody and answer their questions, listen to what they're really saying, not some idea that you have in your mind about what you think they're going to say or where you think the conversation is going to go, but really listen to them. Mm. It's like being with your best friend and Hi, how are you doing today? I'm fine. And you look at him and you say, how are you really doing today?
Yeah.
You know something's going on. I'm here. I want to be here, and I want to help you.
Yeah. I remember, in the early days, we'd have case conference, and it was in a little bitty room. We didn't have that many clinicians. But every once in a while, in home health, primarily, we'd have a clinician or two that were kind of complaining a little bit about some of their patients. And, one of the things, and not to get on my high horse, because I've had my bad days too, but, one thing I try to remind the clinicians of is that, they didn't come to us because they're having a good day. A lot of these people are sick. They don't feel good. They're tired. They're emotionally just tapped out and scared. They're terrified. And, you're just not going to get the best. You're not going to get them at their best, basically. And some of them surprise you. Some of them are amazing. Like like how they hold themselves together in the middle of everything that they're going through is phenomenal. But just trying to pull those clinicians back to put yourself there. Think about when you're felt the sickest you've ever felt, in the flu, in the bed, and tired, and that's where you need to frame your conversations with some of these people, because they may snap at you and be, angry or, irritated or grumpy or whatever.
Absolutely.
Give them some grace, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to soften that. I don't want to say that situation. I don't know. Sometimes we can, but that's what we're here to do, is try to help with that.
Yeah. We have to meet the patients where they are and the families where they are. And we need to pay attention. We need to be able to read the room when we go in and be able to say, you look at somebody that maybe is sitting in the chair and they're angry, and you're looking at another daughter who's got her pen and pad as you're just ready to write down everything. Each one of them needs something different from you. And to be able to work for a company that you can take the time to give each one of those people an individual attention and still make sure the patient has everything that they need is important. Because all the nurses have to do is call in and say, I've been here for 2.5 hours. I need some help getting a visit done. And we'll have other nurses, or on call, somebody will pick up that visit so that all the patients will get what they need today.
Oh, that's great. What a great system.
We've got a really good team. They work really well together.
Well, it's all about the leadership, isn't it?
Well,
got great leadership.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do. There's something, I don't know what it is about hospice. I always tell, whenever I'm interviewing somebody, I'll tell them, I'll say, this is the hardest job that you will ever love. You get back so much more than you give out. You don't have to worry about your cup getting refilled and using everything. Your cup is refilled every patient you go and see. Especially when you've done it right.
Yeah.
And that rapport has been built, and that you're making a difference.
So, we all are wind up on the other side of this sometimes, where we are, all of a sudden the patient. And I try to explain to people that if you're in healthcare or not, it doesn't matter. Like if you're a doctor, a nurse, it doesn't matter that, you've spent your entire life in the healthcare space. Once it's your family or it's you, all bets are off. It just, everything changes. And I don't think a lot of people understand, we know exactly how the average person feels when we're in the middle of some of these situations, because you're at the mercy of whoever's taking care of you.
You are. And one thing that we really try to emphasize, especially if we have somebody that is in the healthcare that are sick themselves, or it's their family member, We want them to be that daughter or son at that point. We don't want them to have to be the nurse or the CNA or chaplain or whatever they do in the healthcare. We want them to be that family member. They don't have to worry about getting the right medications or anything. We're going to do that. We're going to teach them about it, and we're going to treat them just like they're somebody not in the medical field. I remember when the kids were little, and trying to keep track of when you gave them their medicine last. And that was whenever I was much younger, Now, whenever I'm looking at some of these, the spouse or, children, the children are only roughly 20 years younger than their parents are. You can't remember when you gave them that, and just being able to remind them, here's a piece of paper right here. We've got it all ready for you. When you give the medication, you just write it down here. It helps us know when you're getting close to the end of that bottle and you need more medicine, but it also helps you remember at 3:00 in the morning, did I just get up an hour ago and do this, or was that 3 hours ago?
Yeah.
So sometimes just the little things.
It is the little things.
But it's really important that we treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
And that we're teaching the same things and that we're letting them be family.
So smart. So good.
If there is anything that Haven as a company can do, just pick up the phone and call us. There is somebody here that will be able to help you, whether it's something that we can do here or get you to the right place where there's another agency, or how to find a doctor or something like that. We can get those phone numbers for you. We can help you. And we want to be able to help you. So if there is any questions, anything that you have going on, you don't know where to turn, call us first. Let us see what we can do for you and get you to the right people.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And we'd love to stay connected. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram at In Good Company Elder Care Podcast.
You can also find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IGC Pod, and on TikTok at IGC Elder Care Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to In Good Company. I'm John Ray, and I've been joined by my amazing co-host, Spencer Ernst. Special thanks to our executive producer, Alex Wallace, for helping bring this show to life. Until next time, take care, and remember, you are always in good company.